But we're back. All right. If you can hear me, welcome. Put in the chat, I'm here. It's Friday. Thank God it's Friday. Thank you for coming and being part of. Let's just hop into it. We're talking about the end of life, and today I wanted to share with you, as part of my Death Doula training, is empowering you to make informed decisions. There's no right or wrong way to make your decisions for end of life, but rather just informed ones. And so that's what I am here to do with you today, just to give you some more information, help you feel more understood, or to help others feel more understood. Today, when I looked at my Google alerts, one of the top questions that was posed on the internet in regards to loneliness is how not to be lonely. And it just really made me think about the end of life and how we think, we forget how when people are alone, that even more so, they feel like no one's going to be there in the end, at the end of their lives. So it's, again, this is to bring us all together, appreciate each other, and empower people to feel connected. And so thank you for being here and helping me do that. Okay, again, if it's Friday, so if you're here, just put thank God it's Friday, right? Make sure I got my chat working. Right. So let's say up to this point, because this is week 4 of my Death Doula training, and it's more on communication. But we started off in the first week on just an overview of what a Death Doula is. The second week, we spoke on the topic of grief and what that looks like through our lifespans. And then again, working with a Death Doula, working with someone on grief before, at the time of death, and then after, what that looks like for families and how to minimize just some of the trauma. Last week, we spoke about communication, and that was more along the verbal lines of connecting with each other and communicating, having hard conversations, which is not only difficult for family members, but the dying person and doctors and nurses. It's very difficult to let someone know that you are dying and there's nothing more that they can do. All right, I have to sneeze somehow. I'm gonna have to mute as I sneeze. Hopefully you didn't hear that sneeze. And this week is a bit of a continuation on communication, but more along the lines of being informed and communicating what you want, as far as documentation. So advanced directives, do not resuscitate orders, and just how you or your loved one wants death with dignity. There is different arenas for that. But let's just start with, I have my notes here. I'm a good student. I take my notes as I go through my modules of training. Now, for the documents, advanced directives, we all know, many people know, not that we've all done them, but we have living will, which you actually don't need an attorney for, but that's not an estate plan. So you need to, in order to do your estate plan, the best way to do is to connect with an attorney. You can check in your area if you don't have one, or ask your friends or family. And but you don't necessarily need one for a living will. And you want to make sure your living will does not conflict with your healthcare proxy. And that's where you have set things up so you know who is going to be overseeing your medical decisions, like your do not resuscitate DNR. So you just want to make sure those things don't conflict. So when life changes for you, whether that's getting married, remarried, divorced, just status changes. Who knows? But when you retire or when you change jobs, you want to take a look at these things and make sure nothing conflicts and everything is up to date. Because again, this is about communication. So you want to make sure your wishes are written down and also share them with your loved ones. So like me, I make sure that my um, family members, my daughters, my husband have a copy of those orders, so they know. Okay, you pull the plug, sorry, or don't put me on one. And my daughters have their instructions as well. So you just want to make sure that everyone knows what to do or not do for whatever it is that you want. And that's for the advanced directives. Now, also, what you want to do is make sure you also outline your wishes as far as how you want things to look. Um, for, I think I shared a lot of that last week, is communicate, but it's good to write down what your wishes are for how you want. What are your personal choices on how to be treated, how you want, what you want your loved ones to know, and how, just offering help and how to construct that as well, because that's a legacy that you leave behind, and your wisdom is not something that you're not trying to shove it down someone's throat. Like, your wisdom is yours for your time and your era and your experience. So it's going to be different for everyone, but it's nice to share, for you and for your loved ones, to be able to appreciate your walk in life, because it's going to be totally different. Like I said, your era, what you grew up with, my era is going to be different than what my children have grown up in. And so my wisdom is really about my experience and what I learned from it. And take with it what you will. Whatever my children are going to do with it, it's up to them. But that's my wisdom. I'm not trying to um, press it on someone else, but just share that these are the things that I've learned through life. And maybe one day you'll look back and say, oh, this was helpful, or Mom, this doesn't really apply to me. But you can always learn from hearing another person's story. That's where actually going through the process of your eulogy and looking at it is a great way to look at your story. And also as a doula, when you're communicating um, with your dying loved one and the family, you can help everyone take a look at their story and just help find a common ground, which is a beautiful way to have less anxiety and stress if you do that ahead of time. One document that I was totally unaware of, which I was very happy to learn about, was called a document called 5 Wishes. And this is America's most widely used advanced directives, just in everyday languages, in everyday language. So it's easy to meet. And it actually meets the legal requirements of 42 states. I was like, "Oh, wow, that's very cool." So I will list a link to that later on. But it helps outline medical choices and personal choices, spiritual choices, non-spiritual choices, and as well as legal choices. Let's see. Then we have our DNR, which is do not resuscitate. You want that always signed by a doctor. This was interesting that you should keep it on the refrigerator. Okay. I never thought about that. Like, I carry my my DNR, my papers. Actually, I have one in my desk drawers, which was at my job until just now. I had my last day yesterday. I would keep that at work. Do Not Resuscitate. I have a copy of that in my motorcycle bag. I have a copy of that in my car compartment there, and next to my insurance papers and registration. I keep it everywhere. But I didn't know you should keep it on the refrigerator. So then when ambulance comes, that they can see it there. So I thought that was very interesting. And because without that letter, healthcare, without that, then it will, hold on, without a healthcare provider, well, hold on, they'll revive you, the ambulance, for chest compressions, intubation, cardioversion, and IV medication. So yeah, it's important that you have that on your refrigerator. All right, not just, oh, I don't know how you would put that, but I'd put on my fridge. If you have little children, I don't know how you want to put it, but yeah, I think about it next to my magnets on the fridge. I've got my moose from visiting Alaska, and my buffalo from when I went out west. But I put it on the fridge with that. But another document you want to keep on your refrigerator, which has more weight, is a physician's order for life-sustaining treatment. That piece of paper is actually bright pink. So those are two documents that are important to have: the DNR and the physician's order of life-sustaining treatment. So a little pink piece of paper that you want to keep on the fridge, especially if you have a loved one who you're not there all the time. You want to make sure, for parents or for yourself, that you keep these documents on the fridge in case of an emergency. Let's see. And that physician's order for life-sustaining treatment will include if there's three different ways you can organize that document. First can be, you just want comfort measures only, or you wanted limited treatment, or you want life prolonging care, which is full treatment. Let's see. We're making funny noises here. All right. All right. So those are three ways that you can organize your physician's order for sustaining life treatment. And these forms are, you really want to remember that these forms are something that are not written in cement. You can always change them, revisit when you have changes in your life, or changes in your heart, or you just want to make sure that your wishes are fully just written down and communicated. So when you create these forms, you want to make sure you let your family know, this is what I want and why. Because it's important that those hard discussions with your loved ones, that they understand why you want these things. And you may have one person in your life that says, okay, I get it. And you may have another that say, I don't agree with this. So you need to have those discussions, because everyone has different philosophies. And even though kids grow up with you, or you grow up with your parents, you're going to have different takes on what it is, what you value in life. Some people want more quality, and some people want more quantity, and sometimes that changes over time. So you want to be flexible to that. Let's see, because when something happens in the hospital and everyone's there, the thing is, when there's no consensus consensus in the family. The person that has the loudest voice wins. Okay? The person that has the loudest voice, loudest muffler wins. That's what gets attention. And I hate to say that sometimes, even if your paper says one thing, whoever is giving that order, it's, they're going to listen. It's funny when I think about my muffler. I have a very loud motorcycle muffler, and the reason is for safety, because I want people to hear I'm present, I'm here. So make yourself heard and make yourself understood with your family members. If you have to, have them repeat it back to you, and help that settle with them, because otherwise they may make a choice that goes against your wishes. So just remember that. And the other thing I want to touch on, which is very big in the news, is death, what they call death with dignity. And this is the aid in dying laws. So there are only, there's 10 US states and Washington, D.C. that actually will assist in someone's dying. We just had a case here recently in Connecticut where that is not, it's not available. A certain cocktail, it's not available here in Connecticut, but there are people that are trying to get that passed, so it is. So there was a woman who was very ill here in the last month or so for a long time, and so she went to Vermont to have that cocktail with assistance. And but you have to have, this was very interesting. If you this order, this desire, this wish that you have, cannot be part of a living will or proxy. It cannot be in your living will or proxy, which I always thought, oh, okay. And actually, I was just talking to someone yesterday, and they said, yeah, you could just put it in your will and say that's what you want. It's like, no, your will is, this is kind of what you want, but doesn't mean it's, it's giving directives. So just so you understand, patients also must be fully aware, even in a state that there is aid in dying. You must be fully aware. So if you have a diagnosis of a dementia-related illness, disease, you're automatically disqualified. Let me say that again. If you have a dementia-related disease, you are automatically disqualified because you do not have a clear mind to make the decision. And so you're just automatically disqualified. So those are two major things. One was you can't put it in your will or your proxy. The other thing you have to have is, besides being fully aware and in a state that allows the aid in dying, but you have to have a terminal diagnosis with a 6-month prognosis signed by two doctors. Yes. So those are two very important points, and you also have to be over 18. And the last thing is able to digest it yourself. You must be capable of ingestion. So the patient has to initiate this. So those are very important things. And as a doula, I would have to go through additional training in order to assist if that was something and at some point that I wanted to do, I would have to go through additional training because there's complications that come up, and there's different ways of, there's complications, and there's different, there could be complications. So you have to be ready to do that. The last thing I want to say on that is that aid in dying privacy, HIPAA, is protected. So if that's if that's your choice that you would want, then everyone has to abide by the HIPAA rules. So a doctor, a doula, a nurse, they are not, they are bound by the HIPAA rules. They're not allowed to share that with someone else. Let's say, some people say, okay, I don't live in a state like Connecticut. So the lady that had gone to Vermont, that's one way to do it. You can actually go to a state. Vermont allows that. So people will move to another state. Another way that people will voluntarily progress their dying is to voluntarily stop eating and drinking. You can find books on that. So that's one way. That's the second way, if you're not in a state that allows this. And the third way is Switzerland permits non-residents to come there and have assistance. But that's a very expensive process because you have to go there, obviously lodging, and then connecting with two different organizations. The Dignitas and Pegasus are nonprofits that help arrange this, but also to arrange to have the body brought back to the US. So that's an expensive alternative if you don't live in a state that allows assistance. Let's see, the last thing I wanted to chat about was just the written plan on having how you want your outline of the do's and don'ts for your plan. So this is not a legal document. This is just more putting your thoughts and your wishes on paper. It's a reminder of the medical assistance or the do's and don'ts of you want for intervention. And if you want any type of complementary, something to complement what your doctors or nurses are doing for you right now, just alternative care. So like aromatherapy, massage, Reiki, acupuncture. Your doula can help with imagery to help kind of shift where you're thinking and how you're feeling. So, and then how do you want the room to be for you? Do you want it bright? Do you want to be able to look out the window and see the birds nesting, getting ready for the spring, and just be reminded of life? Or do you want to be facing in your room? Do you want to be facing family pictures? Or maybe the kitchen so you can see everyone enjoying a meal and breaking bread together and feel included in that? Or at what time and point, if any, do you want to feel like you just have more introspective set up in your room? So maybe an oil diffuser, so you could smell certain things in the room. And what visitors do you want or you don't want at what point in time? And along with that, you can organize how you want certain rituals. Do you want them to be spiritual in some way? not spiritual? And at what point, how do you want that to change? I think a beautiful thing about reflecting and planning out these details is you can help not only share your wishes, but also help your family come to that place of where you're looking to meet them. So an example of that would be at some point closer to the vigil time, um, or after you pass away, your loved one passes away, you can organize for someone to have to first sit in a space of quiet and some kind of process, maybe a candle that burns there, um, and just give them time to reflect. It could be just looking out a window, to have someone just sit there for like 10 minutes as they reflect, and something that brings awareness for them to stay focused and leave the outside world behind. So leave the road rage behind, leave a meeting that you just came from behind, and help them feel more present with that moment. So when they come in the room, they connect that much more. And that's the beauty of pre-planning these activities. Like I said, this is not a legal document. It just helps. Just like we would with a wedding or any kind of rite of passage. We think about a lot of the details for a rite of passage, whether that's baby's first birthday, getting married, even getting divorced. We have some things more in place than we have for when someone dies. And I also wanted to mention that you can create a bill of rights. Now that was totally me. Thank you, Terry. Yes, a lot of people do not have the proper documents or plan in place. So you can create a bill of rights, which is pretty cool. I never knew that before I took the course. There's like a sample bill of rights, and actually maybe I'll put that in the links as well. So that's always good. And in this, you can put reiterate what services you want, what pieces, what wishes you want and what things you want your loved ones to know. And sometimes we go through our busy lives and we never just say to our children, I love the person that you've become. I'm not talking about a Hallmark card. Just, I love the person you've become, that you are. You're a great parent. You've done maybe a better job than I have, or you've done a wonderful job at handling the challenges of today. And that's what I was talking about earlier with wisdom. It's not saying how I did it was something you want to have your children repeat. Your wisdom was for your day and your time, and how you always pursued and stayed engaged with life and its changes. And your child, you want to pep them up so then they can learn their wisdom in their day with their own issues in their time. So I think that's a real gift. And also your funeral. Hey, your funeral services. Do you want something more green? Are you concerned about the environment? Do you want a home service? That's another thing. And Terry is here, and we chat about that on his podcast. That it's just much more common. People want it to be more common to have a funeral or a special moment with family around. I was just at the hairdresser's yesterday, and a young lady was telling me that she was so thankful that when her grandfather died, everyone of the family was there with her. And it's not common among her friends because people don't know exactly what to do or what someone wants, or they wait till they do nothing when they find out they have a diagnosis because they say, we're going to fight this, we're going to fight this. And so they don't do any planning. And then when they find out last minute, no one even wants to say the words that I'm dying or my mom's dying or my grandmother's dying. So they push it back, push it back, push it back. And then they're making last minute decisions. And that is definitely traumatizing and difficult for everyone. So yeah, it's definitely more intimate and comforting, just like Terry said. So yeah, just planning it out makes a huge, huge difference. One of the things that a cool video that they shared in my, this will be the last one I tell you on my class, on my Death Doula class this week, was, it was called The Fidgeter. It was a cool video. And the story was that a nurse and doula, death doula, yes, and lots of money for the last minute funeral. And so this nurse and death doula was spending time with an individual. The family needed time to go do other things. They need breaks, so doulas come and help families have a break. And this nurse was told that the person that's dying, he would wake up and he would get very upset about his motorcycle. And so he was told by the family, do not mention his motorcycle because he just gets very agitated. So a couple days later, she's there and he would sleep a lot. He was getting closer to the end and he would sleep a lot. But suddenly he would get up out of bed and he would just start like hammering things or like turning things. And she said, I couldn't figure out what he was doing. Was he, was he trying to fix something? But he would walk around the room and just keep touching things and turning them and just moving things around. So at first she would try to tell him, sit down, relax, relax. But then she realized he wasn't. So then she started to just go behind him as he walked around his room and touch things. And she would say things like, oh, that looks better. Oh, that's better. And so she walked with him to do his tinkering. And she finally said to him, oh, that looks much better. And after a couple of nights of repeating the same thing, he felt he just said, yes, I think I'm done. The next day, soon after, he left. So he was able to move on and transition. But she just felt that nurse that felt that he was working on his motorcycle and his family didn't understand that he had this in him, that he wanted to fix it. So they kept trying to stop him. And the nurse was a doula, and a doula helped him move through what he needed to move and through and finish in his time here. So I thought that was a beautiful gift that she helped him with. So, all right, I wanted to keep it short today because I wanted to make sure I just let you know that I'm going to be changing the time on Fridays because I just had my last day of formal work yesterday. So I am going to be full-time with you here. And I'm going to be moving the LinkedIn Lives to Tuesday, so a little earlier in the week. So Tuesday, I'll keep the same time at 2:00. So we're going to finish the rest of the series then. So we are halfway. It's a halfway mark. And so it's the perfect time to, let's try and shift gears here. And we are going to continue to try work on our planning and just reduce the stress and confusion for you. And so yes, so I will finish the next 4 on Tuesdays at 2 o'clock. But what I'm going to add on is Fridays at 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to do an audio. So I hope some of you will join me on audio. Terry, actually, he's a voiceover artist, and we just did a podcast. Check on my LinkedIn here. And so he really inspired me because we both do voiceovers to actually just have some more audio time together. And since I'm not commuting anymore in the morning from 8 to 9, I thought that I could share some ideas and thoughts and techniques with you while you're in the car commuting. So Fridays at 8 o'clock, I'll be doing audio. And also Tuesdays, I will be moving my LinkedIn Live. So I look forward to seeing you on Tuesdays. And just hearing you jump in, and thank you for being here. I very much appreciate it. And what else? So moving forward, I just wanted to put it out there. Thanks. I know, Terry, 8 a.m. yawn. Yeah, but I got to be there with others that have to commute. So I'm happy to be there. And if you have any questions, or if you'd like to connect with me on bringing some of this valuable legacy information and just my background to one of your events, please let me know. You have my contact information, and I will leave you with that. Until then, I will see you my next time. I will see you on Tuesday at 2 p.m. Thank you so much for being here. Peace out.